If the Mets were serious about trying to upgrade their bullpen, even if they're not going to take my advice and seen Wade Davis, they would have done what the Cubs did. They would have struck quickly to sign Brandon Morrow to a 2-year deal. Instead, Sandy Alderson is feigning shock at the cost of such a move, $21 million for 2 years, while likening the bullpen market to an inferno that is best avoided for the time being, and instead considering trading Matt Harvey for a reliever. Is it any wonder Mets fans are once again disgusted with the state of the franchise? Not that I have much faith in a big bounce back from Harvey, but wasn't Mickey Callaway hired as manager largely to see if he could work a little magic with the former ace, as well as some of the other starting pitchers whose ballyhooed potential has been derailed by injuries and underperformance. The Mets have come this far with Harvey. Isn't it worth finding out what he can do in a season in which he'll be ultra-motivated as he heads for free agency? If they were willing to sign a starting pitcher like Lance Lynn, which they need anyway, then trading Harvey for a reliever would be more understandable. But they're acting as if they have a surplus of starting pitchers on whom they can count next season, as if Zach Wheeler and Steven Matz are suddenly sure things to stay healthy and produce, as if Robert Gesellman wasn't a bust last year, as if Seth Lugo doesn't have a partial tear in his elbow ligament. What is going on with the Mets, anyway? 2 months ago, Alderson agreed with the common logic that his team should acquire another starting pitcher, and this week he says that's number 4 on his 3-item checklist of priorities. What they're counting on Rafael Montero now? Mike Ehrman. Getty Images. The problem, of course, is that Alderson has multiple holes to fill and, as usual, not enough money to be a big player in the free agent market. Why that's the case is harder to understand this winter, however. The Mets had more than $60 million come off the payroll in expired contracts, more if you include the money they saved via their salary-item trades last July and August. They've collected significant insurance money on David Wright's contract the last 2 seasons, and probably will again in 2018. And the owners, Fred and Jeff Wilpon, have to know, after the excitement created by the 2015 and 16 seasons, that Mets fans will fill Citi Field to the top if they put a serious contender on the field again. Why they are trying to do this on the cheap this winter, with Alderson giving every indication the payroll will be significantly lower than it was last season, makes no sense. The pieces are still in place to win. I'm convinced Yoenis Cespedes will have a big season, now that the Mets are actually going to make him drink water and stay hydrated, as they seemed to finally be discovering the wonders of modern injury prevention techniques. In addition, there is no reason to believe Michael Conforto won't be an impact player again, as he recovers from that freakish shoulder injury. Likewise, Noah Syndergaard should come back from that lat muscle tear and be a dominant starter again, and Jacob deGrom is proving to be both durable and elite. The Mets even have the makings of a solid back end of the bullpen, with Jeurys Familia, A.J. Ramos and Jerry Blevins. And though Amed Rosario proved to be a bit of a wild swinger in his first taste of big league pitching, I still believe the kid shortstop is going to be a star. Rich Schultz. Getty Images. If only the Mets would spend to fill in the missing pieces. Adding a durable starter like Lynn would do wonders for the certainty they could expect from their starting rotation. Instead, they're focused on getting a second baseman, a reliever, and a Jay Bruce-type outfielder first baseman, at least partly to give them protection if Dom Smith doesn't hit. Okay, for starters, I'd gamble that Smith will be at least adequate for them and use that money to add another impact player, ideally a center fielder like Lorenzo Cain. Enough already, after all, with trying to wish Juan Lagares into an everyday center fielder. His defense is great, but he's not suddenly going to blossom into an adequate hitter, and he gets hurt every year, anyway. And Conforto is better off not worrying about having to play center field. In addition, as Alderson said this week, he has little in the way of tradable prospects, because his drafts haven't produced enough impact talent, and if Smith doesn't blossom, the Mets are in more trouble anyway in that regard. Even so, the GM has enough to make a deal for Ian Kinsler with the Tigers, who aren't looking for much anyway other than to dump the $11 million he's owed next season. At that price, Kinsler is worth the gamble on a 1-year deal. As for relievers, how can Alderson be surprised at the cost when the sport is trending in that direction, with bullpens becoming more and more important? But if he doesn't want to give Bryan Shaw a 3-year deal, and I wouldn't want to either, then spend on a sure thing like Davis and build a superpen for this year, with Familia and Ramos heading for free agency anyway. Or the Mets could have beaten the Cubs to the punch on Morrow, which would have been a smart signing, injury risk and all. In any case, there are only about 1 million setup relievers on the market this winter, so there's no reason they should have to trade Harvey to get one, other than the obvious: it's another way of saving money. Phil Longueup. But really, do they not see that the weekend, at least, with the Marlins, now in complete tank mode, offers a path to the postseason for them this year? Do they not see the Phillies and Braves will be contenders again in another year or two? I guess the better question is, do they care enough about winning?